Sheriff's office. It's safe to come out.
Yeah, he said it's safe to come out.
Now, we're not willing to take that risk right now.
I can't hear you.
We're not taking that risk right now.
Okay, well, come to the door and look at my bag, bro.
No. Yeah, bro.
No, he said bro.
He said bro. Red flags.
Slow down, you're fine.
I want you to drop backpacks. You're okay. We're okay.
Welcome to Straddled Events. On this channel, we bring you the truth. Sometimes the truth is quite ugly, unbearable, and you just don't want to deal with it. But on this channel, you're going to get it anyway. We deal with controversial and very highly opinionated topics. It is called Straddled Events because most people are one foot in and the other foot out. Meaning you are straddling between the fence of good versus evil, right versus wrong. And on this channel, we're going to tell you to do better. Let's go. 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley was charged as an adult on Wednesday. The Oxford High School sophomore was charged with 24 counts following Tuesday's shooting at the school that left 4 dead and 7 injured. He was charged with 1 count of terrorism causing death, 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of assault with the intent to murder, and 12 counts of possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He is being held without bond in the Oakland County Jail. The shooting on Tuesday took the lives of 4 Oxford High School students: 16-year-old Tate Meyer, 17-year-old Madison Baldwin, 14-year-old Hannah St. Juliana, and 17-year-old Justin Schuling, who died in the hospital today from his injuries. 7 others were injured, including 1 teacher. 3 students remain hospitalized. Oh, wow. A 17-year-old female was injured with a neck wound, and a 14-year-old female has improved. She's been moved from critical condition to stable with gunshot wounds to the left chest and neck. A 17-year-old female still remains in critical condition with a gunshot wound to the chest. The question of a motive remains, but today an even bigger question is, could this tragedy have been prevented? During the arraignment, the Oakland County Sheriff stated that a video was made by the suspect and he was going to shoot people. Also, school administrators had a meeting with his parents about his behavior the day before the shooting, as well as met with him and his parents just a couple of hours before the shooting. Clearly, there is a mental health issue going on with some of these young adults. Y'all know y'all have people in y'all family that's unstable. And instead of y'all turning a blind eye, turning your back, you might want to look at them and pay attention to what they're doing. Because this is tragic. His father bought the gun on November the 26th. Now he done killed up all these people and injured others, few days after. Y'all parents have to do better with y'all children. Pay attention to their social media, to what they're doing online, on their cell phones, who they're talking to, where they're going, their language, their behavior. Apparently, this little boy had a behavior issue that's probably been going on for a while. And I bet you nobody gave him any type of mental health treatment. I bet you he didn't get any. for whatever that was going on in his head. Y'all parents need to do better. Do better, damn.
Now to the latest on the deadly school shooting near Detroit, Michigan. The 15-year-old suspect is being charged as an adult. He faces murder and terrorism, among other charges. And this as the shaken community remembers the young lives taken far too soon. ABC's Rena Roy has more.
As 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley sits behind bars, about 500 people attending a vigil to honor the 4 students killed in Tuesday's shooting at Oxford High School. 17-year-old Justin Schilling was the 4th to die, succumbing to his injuries on Wednesday. The Oxford High School sign now a memorial to those young lives lost. Crumbley appearing in court via video, pleading not guilty to 24 criminal charges, including terrorism and 4 counts of first-degree murder. He's charged as an adult. Prosecutors say he entered a school bathroom with a backpack, then came out holding a gun.
At that point, he methodically and deliberately walked down the hallway, aiming the firearm at students and firing, pointing and aiming inside classrooms and at students who hadn't had the opportunity to escape.
Crumbley's parents appearing at his arraignment virtually. They may also face charges.
You are the parents of Ethan Crumbley, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
That is correct.
After investigators say the gun he used was purchased by his father just days earlier. Authorities say they recovered videos from Crumbley's cell phone taken the night before, where he talked about shooting and killing students the next day.
We've had the opportunity to review that surveillance video just this morning. And what's depicted on that video, honestly, Judge, I don't have the words to describe how horrific.
Police say they also recovered a journal detailing Crumbley's desire to shoot up a school, adding the suspect and his parents met with school officials just hours before the shooting about concerning behavior before he was sent back to class.
Let me talk to you now about this investigation itself, right? We know that the 15-year-old suspect has been arrested and charged. I know that as of, I think, 24 hours ago, the parents of that teen had not been talking with you, with prosecutors. Has that changed? And then I have a follow-up, but like, are they cooperating now in this case?
No, they are not
Okay.
talking to us, and they actually advise their child in our state, you have to have parental permission to talk to a juvenile, and they refuse that permission. So there's no conversations occurring between us, the suspect, or the parents.
I know the prosecutor just said there may be an announcement on potential charges against them in the next 24 hours. Given what you've just said, would you support charges against these parents?
Well, we have to finish our packet. The totality of it obviously depends on the criminality ultimately that she'll decide charges. So if they, for example, in an abstract hypothetical, if they gave the weapon to this person, it's illegal for someone his age to possess or carry a handgun. So if they participate in that, that's clearly a crime and there ought to be charges. But that's something our investigators are running down as best they can factually, because participants are not really talking.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Is there evidence to support that they may have done anything criminally wrong?
Well, I don't want to open our investigative file at this point because that would prejudice any potential charges, but that's exactly what my detectives are looking at.
We know that this suspect, this teenager, the student, had videos, at least a video made the night before the shooting. There was a journal. The day of the shooting, he had a meeting with his parents at the school. That was on top of, on a different issue, a meeting the day before the shooting happened. Were any of those meetings about the potential for violent behavior? Were there any red flags in those discussions?
Well, the discussions first and foremost happened with school officials, and we were never informed until after the shooting. There was nothing specific as it related to a shooting threat or threats against the school.
Okay. Are I don't want to read too much into the Sheriff. I watched your news conference yesterday. We carried it live on another show that I do. You seemed like you were walking up to the line of being frustrated with the school that they didn't inform you about those meetings earlier. Am I reading that wrong?
No, ma'am. Obviously, my mantra always is share too much, not too little. And obviously, with the plus of 2020 hindsight, we would have wished we would have been participants in the meeting, or at least informed of the content as it happened.
If it wasn't related to violent threats, these discussions, can you give us any insight as to what it was related to? What kind of behavior?
Well, there are things within that meeting and within that context that, again, now, since we pivoted to prosecution, I really don't feel comfortable saying. It will ultimately probably be part of the court proceedings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect that. I have to ask. I want to, before I let you go, ask about something else. And I know that you have said that there was no evidence that you had seen, at least as of earlier this week, that any of these students tried to stop or were able to stop the shooter, obviously because this was just such a horrific situation. But I'm sure you've seen some of these reports that one of these young men, Tate Meyer, football player, teenager, student there's eyewitness accounts at least, or at least, discussions that have been made public, the Detroit Free Press, for example, that he actually rushed the shooter, tried to run toward the shooter when this happened. Have you seen any evidence that would support that? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, first I'll say he was an amazing young man, and that's a huge tragedy. But I have to say that we have no evidence that in fact occurred. He is, as you said, was an incredible young man, as were, from what I've read and seen, the other 3 far too young victims of this horrific shooting. Yeah, Sheriff Bouchard. I'm so grateful to you for your time. I know this has been an unimaginably hard week for you, and I appreciate you giving us the time tonight. Thanks I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.